Dudes, Nate from 8020, back at you with the July edition of Lesson of the Week. Does that even make sense? No, we'll have more than one lesson in July. Really quick intro about me and this channel. If you don't know what this is the Royal we do. Essentially, I break down drum beats, drum concepts, etc. for you guys once a week to get inside of stuff. Is this the worst intro ever? All right. Those of you guys who are still with me, let's talk about what we're going to do in today's lesson. So I've got another lesson which someday maybe might come out, which I actually recorded 2 months ago in collaboration with my buddy Joel Turcotte, who's currently touring the world. So we'll see if he ever completes his segment of that video. But the video I'm recording today is going to use some of the same concepts. So in the intro, I just played this slightly spanky variation on a beat in 5. I want to get into how I arrived at that and what we can do with it. And then we're going to talk about how to juxtapose that against 4. And we're not going to go into the metronome specifics today. That's in another video, and I go into greater depth about it in the Joel video. So, first and foremost, we're dealing with 5/4. So that's 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. And I'm going to show you how I came up with this beat that sounds a little bit spankified, a little bit Chris Dave, and it's stage by stage. So if we imagine starting out with a basic beat in 5, 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. That's stage 1. So if you want to do something a little hip, you can bisect the bar so that you hear it as 2 bars of 5/8. So instead of 1 2 and 3 4 5 1 2 and 3 4 5, you can play the snare note on the spot in the bar that's exactly halfway. So 1 2 3 and 4 5 1 2 3 and 4 5. And what that does will become important later, but for now, let's just say if you're counting 1 2 3 and 4 5 1 2 3 and 4 5 1 2, right? They're exactly the equidistant apart. So bear that in mind. So from we're now going to do 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so what else can you do to make that hipper? You can do kind of a linear thing where the hats are following the kick drum. So here's what that'll sound like. 1 2 3 4 5. One, 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. Let me do it a little slower for you. 1 2 3 4 5. So again, the regular way. If you play the bar strictly in 5/4, it would be like 4 5. But we're bisecting the bar and giving it this sort of illusion of 4 by playing the snare backbeat on the upbeat of 3. So 4 5. So already you're probably thinking we're implying 4. You can pretty much just go into 4 because it already sounds like that 5-elated, not completely swung, not completely straight thing everybody's into. Which I'm not convinced is actually 5. I think that's a different thing. I think you can get into the same territory from 5. That's a whole other video. Check out my Chris Dave video and my Dilla video. Not that I'm by any means the last word on this. I'm just a guy who's thought about it a little bit. But if we want to go where our ears are leading us, we can take this beat from 5 into 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So more on that later, but we can also make this sound more like 5 and less like 4. And that's where I came into this bit. So let me count it off for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to keep a reference point for you, I'm going to play the quarters or eighths, however you want to conceive this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we assume those are quarters, I'm going to play them with the left foot, and then I'm going to play the hat pattern on the rim of the tom. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can kind of hear where that lies. Let me try and open the hats for the downbeats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it wasn't perfect. That was on the spot, but so you can hear how that lies. And the crucial bit that makes it hip is the upbeat. So 4, 5. Right? And then 4, 5. Etc. So finally, if you keep messing with that, you can add a double, if we're thinking quarters here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can add a double eighth with a double kick at the beginning. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the sort of spanky thing to do would be to play that Mark Guiliana 2 as double stops between the right hand on the snare and the kick. So instead of, and there are a few things you can do with that. You can go. So let me show you how those will sound. 4, 5. Etc. So this sounds really hip when you're playing it fast. And I think in the Instagram story I did, I was trying to play it pretty fast. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can take it back toward 4. Chris is going to have a fun time transcribing this one. Shout outs Chris Teal, one of my coaches, great drum teacher in his own right. One of the things you can do is leave out the final kick drum note. So 4, 5. This part. Right? If you just go. It's starting to sound a little bit more foralized again. And then if you play it fast, so that's another thing you can throw, and I'm throwing a lot of these things at you. This will all be transcribed, and this is sort of a just get inside Nate's head process. Like, what does it look like when I practice? So another thing, anything you can catch as a, ooh, am I bleeding? Anything you can catch as a ghost note on the snare drum, you can also catch on the hats. You can just, as a rule, you don't even need to switch over. You can just rotate this wrist underneath and catch that on the hats. And I find it's not really useful texturally unless you're opening the hats. So you notice how I just contradicted myself there? Okay, so if it's leading into an accent, someday I'll come up with the Platonic schema for how I think about this stuff. I wonder if putting our instincts into words makes them better or worse. Question for you guys. Leave a comment below. That's what other YouTubers do because they want comments. I know you guys will leave me comments anyway. Okay, lastly, obviously where this is going is we want to go from 4 into 5 and then back to 4. And for this lesson, we're just going to keep it impressionistic. You can put a metronome on 8 notes. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 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 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just practice that. Use it. So there are a couple ways into the metric modulation thing, right? I did a lesson about how you make that really exact and sort of quantized so it's perfect. And I know Juliana and Justin Tyson and all the gospel guys are into that. But there's another way to approach it where it's a little bit more impressionistic. I guess I should mention Joel again, Joel the five-a-later. But for this purposes of this lesson, we're making it more impressionistic. So that's the thing to practice. Go from 4 to 5. So 2 bars of 4, 2 bars of 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So then we're going to incorporate the messed up beat we just created into the 5 section. So it'll sound like 1, 2, 3, 4. And finally, here's what it would sound like if you did 1 bar 4, 1 bar 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Etc. So that's kind of scratching the surface there. I threw a lot at you, but I think the main things to take away from this are the process that I used to start with a simple beat and break it down more and more. Throughout all of that, you definitely want to be thinking about playing clean, making sure your rim shots are cool, making sure when your right hand and right foot are supposed to occur together that they really do. But beyond that, just have fun with it, set that metronome on half notes, and practice going from 4 to 5. At the very least, it'll open up some new ways to get fired. Guys, if you've enjoyed this lesson and you want to go deeper with me, the thing I always recommend is my coaching course. It's like 6 months to a year of studying with me for around the price of a single lesson. If you want access to that, we only open it up a few times a year. I've got a gateway drug for you guys. If you click the link below, you'll get access to my 3 free videos, which will improve your playing more in 3 weeks than you have in the last 6 months. How? By cutting to the chase, going to the core of the issues that are really holding you back. Not everything you practice is created equal, hence it's possible to waste a bunch of time. We're going to do the opposite of that. This is why it's 80-20. We're going to cut to the chase of the 20% of things that have the highest leverage. I'm Nate. This has been the 80-20 Drummer. This was the lesson of the week. We'll see you soon.